Hello, friends. Welcome to Shine with Elena Cortes and Mark Sedgwick. It's another Thursday. It's another day to grow and learn and just learn from one each other, from our experiences. So let's welcome Mark Sedgwick with the quote of the day.
Yes, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to the show. So today's quote, today we're going to be talking about conquering fear, and that's basically what today's quote is revolved around, and what this conversation today that we're going to be having is revolved around as well. So it goes like this: use fear as a tool to point you towards the direction of growth. And what do I mean by that? So most people use fear as, or they let fear to conquer them, and they're like, oh, they run away from what they're scared of. They push it away. But if in order to grow, you can use that, oh, I'm scared of this. Oh, no, I'm scared, right? Whether it's like, a lot of people are scared of swimming. A lot of people are scared of death. A lot of people are scared of all these things. But if you let that fear guide you and help you to grow, and you push past it and you conquer it, you will come out more confident. You'll come out more satisfied, you'll conquer a challenge. I mean, that's the way I use it, as a challenge, right? So, and whenever you conquer a challenge, you really have this feeling of satisfaction. So I think that's like the greatest thing about a fear.
Yes, that is correct, Mark. But what a lot of people don't know is that fear is created in our mind. Fear is something we kind of make up in our own thoughts, inside our brain. So it's so powerful for us to be able to control it. First of all, acknowledge and understand and admit when we fear or when we are scared of something. Yeah. And then say, you know what, this is all in my head. I am going to channel this energy of fear, and I'm going to turn it into maybe a positive vision. How do I see myself doing this that I am fearing right now? So I was we decided to talk about fear because it's the beginning of the year, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm stuck with this New Year resolutions, and they're checking off lists, taking off things, adding new ones. And I was asking a friend of mine, like, why are you taking those two off already? Like, it's only January 30th, And she was like, oh, I'm afraid to do that. Like, I really don't even want to do it. And you know what it was? She wanted to go skydiving. And I was like, you're going to take that off? She's like, I write it every year, and every year, like, I take it off. I just don't think I have the guts to do this. So it made me think about what we were going to talk today about fear. It's like, in her mind, she already knows that around this time of the year, she's going to scratch it off. She's been doing it. It's like a pattern. Wow. And I'm like, then why did you even put it on your paper? Why did you even write it down, right?
There's no purpose.
There's no purpose. And so I told her, you know what? You need to put on that list or on your vision boards things that you really believe you can do, and things that you really want to do, and you feel them in your heart. And so let's talk about that. Like, we face some really tough fears, and especially you, Mark, as a runner.
Well, before we even talk about that, I want to just welcome our guest today, Joey Miller.
Oh, that's right.
Second time guest, one of my best friends I've ever had, Joey Miller. As you were saying, she had this challenge in her head, right? But as we were talking about in the car, it's that anticipation that probably gets to her every time she writes it down. She's like, oh no, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Because it's the anticipation. Every year, she knows she's going to write it down. But instead, you should just attack the goal. Maybe cut out the anticipation. You know what? I'm going to conquer that goal right now. Let's go spend $200, if you have the $200, on skydiving right now. It takes the anticipation off. You have the fear of swimming. Forget it. Oh, I'm going to go, let's go swim next weekend with the kids. Oh, you know what? I'm too scared. No, forget it. Let's go swimming right now, right? Cut out the anticipation. And maybe you can conquer that dragon right now. So what is your opinion on that, Joey?
I think fear definitely is something that gets amplified the longer you put something off, especially in the case that you guys are mentioning. When you plan things months in advance, especially if it's something that on its own is something that can instill a lot of fear in you, like skydiving. I mean, there's a lot of things to fear about that. And when you're putting it off for months at a time, saying, I'll do this later, I'll do this at some other time, then you have all that time to ruminate in that fear and let it grow and overcome you. Yeah. And I think part of you kind of knows that too, and that gives you that it gives you that time to back out of it and not feel so bad because you tried, but really you kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think it's like that anticipation really gets to us, and I think if we just, but sometimes there is moments in life where you're gonna have to go through the anticipation either way, right? Like for me, as my mom was saying, the track, right? I there was no way I would get out of the anticipation part. I was just gonna have that fear in my mind that I'm about to have to go race. I'm about to have to go commit my all. I'm gonna have to go potentially die out there if I have to, right? In order to win this race.
Wow, you
right?
took it so serious.
That's how serious I took it, because I was so dedicated into that sport. I ran every day, every morning, and then after school I'd run it. So it just builds this mindset of, oh, I'm gonna have to go give it my all. I got myself to be accountable for. I got my coach to be accountable for. I got my mom watching me. My sister was like one of my biggest supporters. Went to like almost every track meet of mine. That's another point. Having a strong army with you. Without her, man, teaching me about all these things and supporting me all the time. But anyways, yeah, it's just sometimes you're not going to be able to run away, right? So what do you guys think are the solution to that? What's the solution to if you have no way out? I want to ask you guys first.
I think for me it's just changing my channel and not worrying so much about it. So that's how I deal with my fears. And then I love visuals. As you know, Mark. So if there's something I am starting to feel a little bit of a fear or something I want to do, I create myself an atmosphere of positivity and things that are going to be like because our friends are not always there, and sometimes they don't even know what we're thinking. Like they don't know what we're fearing.
They don't even know you're scared.
Because in public you're like, yes, I'm gonna do this, but inside you're like, your heart is pounding, going 100 miles an hour. You're starting to get the sweaty palms. You're starting to get nervous and stressed, right? And then once you let all that continue to conquer you and control you, then you're not going to be able to do your best when you get to your final, either the run or a disease you're battling or a test you're taking. So for me, I change my channel and I just surround myself with positive things and things that would encourage me. For example, for this year, my vision board is nothing but positive pictures. And I brought it. Mark shared his last week. I brought mine, but mine's so big. It's been in my bathroom.
Awesome.
But especially this picture right here. It's been like, it's my motivation this year to just do everything I want to do, because I conquered cancer. And just remembering how scared I was when I heard the C word at the doctor's office.
Cancer.
And it's like, okay, wow. Okay, how do I deal with this big giant monster? And what, I didn't even know what stage I was. I was scared. I was like, what if I'm stage 3, 4, 5? And what if I don't make it? So there I was. I was like, okay, I got to get these thoughts out of my mind. I don't even know what stage I'm in, number one. Number two, with all the modern technology, I can actually, I know there's great doctors, a lot of improvements. Why am I worrying so much?
Yeah, I think the big thing for you was I think the biggest tool that you used to conquer your fear was realizing that the fear was not going to move you forward and potentially help you to survive the cancer, to help you go through the surgeries, to help you go through all that stuff. I think that was your biggest tool, was realizing that, I can't sit here and cry about it.
No.
I need to go, talk with my kids, go talk to the doctors, go figure this out and find a solution. So I think that was yours for sure.
And surrounding myself with I remember I painted a tree of life.
Yeah.
Painted that tree of life, and that was like my constant reminder, my visual that was like, okay, I got this, everything's gonna be good, just like it. And then the other thing I put on the wall was, this is just a temporary trial. And that I kept looking at that. It was like, okay, whatever I'm going through right now is temporarily, and it's not going to be forever. So that was my clue word for me, that it was, I changed my channel and I was like, this is just temporary.
Yeah.
So how about you, Joey? Is there a time that you had to deal with fear?
Oh, all the time. I think that one time that comes to mind specifically would be with roller coasters. That was a fear that I only recently conquered, probably about less than a year ago. I used to just I would see one. Mark would always try to get me to ride one. We'd always go to these amusement parks, and I would always just be like, okay, I'll try. And then we'd get in line, and I'd be like, maybe another time, and I would just back out at the last second. And that has to do with the anticipation, because that anticipation, like I said, it amplifies the fear. When you're getting ready to conquer a fear, it has a tendency to just grow. It has a tendency to try to consume you. And it's at that point you get kind of into fight or flight mode. You've got to decide, am I going to conquer this? Am I going to face it head on? Or am I just going to back out and let it conquer me? So for me, after one too many times of just saying, I'm okay, I'll stay in my comfort zone, I just decided, it can't be this bad. It's something that most people do at some point. So I just decided, okay, I'll give it a try. And in the moment, it was terrifying. But as soon as that roller coaster started to go, I was like, this is not what I hyped it up to be.
Yeah.
The fear was not, it was irrational. And a lot of the times that is the case. Fear will be an irrational thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think, for me, that roller coaster ride reminds me of the races I would do. I would be so scared for the whole day. For probably a week prior, I would be scared. I'd be at lunch. I wouldn't eat. On the day of, I threw up a couple times. Sorry to make it vulgar, but man, I would just get sick and just anxious before my race, because I knew what I was going to have to put my body through. I knew what I was going to have to put my mind through. But I would just conquer it, and I think I would grow every time I would conquer it. I remember my sophomore year of high school. This is a funny story. It's bad that I did this, and Coach probably doesn't even know that I did this. But sophomore year, I freaked out on the day of my district track meet. I was scared, I was nervous, and I was like, you know what, fight or flight. My reaction was flight. So I went to the nurse. I said I threw up blood, and I didn't end up going to the track meet.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So that was a really serious learning experience for me. That fear conquered me that day. And, I realized that day, man, you can't let this happen to you. You can't, because afterwards I felt like I regretted it. I was like, why did I do this? I mean,
first of all, you missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
Second, you probably were like embarrassed, like, okay, I just did this.
I was doing so good, and I just chickened out on the last day. You can't do that. I think we all go through those times when we chicken out. For you, the roller coaster for
Absolutely.
a while, but then eventually, you conquer it. You learn after experience that. It's kind of irrational, Mark. You're going to go through this, but you're going to win a medal. You might win a medal if you put in the hard work every day.
Yes.
It's just
you just hit
irrational
the key
fears.
point. So if whatever fear you're having, the best tool that you can use is visualize yourself doing it and winning. Like if in your case you were going to win a medal, like visualizing yourself that you're winning. A lot of athletes use that when they're like, because it's got to be, can you imagine the emotions that go through, especially like right now, like the Super Bowl coming up, it's like those guys are already mentally preparing themselves weeks ahead, and coaches are like saying and talking to them, showing motivational videos, saying, all these things, because they want them to visualize themselves winning and getting the trophy. And that's really the best way we can tackle any fears.
Yeah.
I was listening to a video on about oh my goodness, what's his name? The famous actor that's really funny, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, and he said when I was doing my acting, my goal or my dream was to one day win a $10 million check from a movie. And he said that he wrote himself a check for $10 million, and he kept it in his wallet. It was falling apart for 3 years, and 3 years later he got the contract with Dumb and Dumber, and got his $10 million through the movie sales and everything. He said, but he visualized it. Because he was scared. He started to actually get scared. And who would have thought that he would be scared when he's so funny, right? And he's like out there. But he said once he conquered that, where he was like, no, I love being funny. I'm not going to be scared. And he wrote that check to himself. That was his motivation. So sometimes you got to do yourself some visuals, create some visual or whatever you can. We got to go on a short break. We'll be right back with this amazing topic about fear. Hi friends, welcome back to Shine with Elena, Cortes, and Mark Sedgwick. We are so excited that you have joined us. A lot of the listeners are also putting their fears on the via text. So we really thank you for participating.
On the comment section.
On the comment section, yes.
Yeah.
So you know, it's interesting to know how we're not the only ones with fears. The whole world has fears.
Of course.
And some people are afraid of the ocean. You know, there's a person that said they're afraid of the ocean water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people that are afraid of even getting on a plane. There are, you know, there's just so many different fears. So what I wanted to say, and then they asked me, what is one of my biggest fears? And one of my biggest fears is not accomplishing all the things that are in my mind. My mind goes 100 miles an hour. I do a lot of projects. I do a lot of writing. I try to keep it on my agenda all the time, but sometimes I look at it and I get stressed.
Yeah.
Because I fear that, oh my God, I don't think I'll be able to do this in my lifetime. Or how would I juggle having, you know, being a teacher, trying to help my two kids still continue to fulfill their dreams and goals. And I want to I'm getting ready to apply at Houston Baptist University to get my master's in fine arts.
Yeah.
So, and that's another fear, like I'm starting to feel like, what if I don't get accepted, you know? So what I did to tackle that fear is I already wrote it on my vision board. I've added it. I have and it's not on this one, it's on the other one where I'm doing my I guess monthly vision boards, and that's my goal for next month. I want to go ahead and write my essay. I want to go ahead and get all my portfolio ready with the photographs I need in order to go through my interview to get accepted at the university. And so it's almost like the way I'm dealing with my fears is I'm just doing it. I'm just getting one thing at a time and doing it. And instead of looking at my long list of projects, I'm like, okay, let me just go one at a time, check it off, and do it.
That's a good point.
If we don't do it, then we'll just always be holding the book full of ideas. We'll mentally be exhausted, and we're never going to get anything done.
And the anticipation will be conquering you, because you will always have that list, be like, oh, I have all these things to do. But instead, you should just break it down. I think that's a big thing for fear, is just break it down into small sections. That's what I would do for when I was running. I would break it down, you know, just go to practice, you know, go to practice tomorrow, go to practice the next day, you know, and then, you know, show up to the bus, you know, make the bus ride there. And then, you know, just relax, you know, do what coach says, you know, just listen, you know, just break it down, live in the moment. I think when we anticipate the future too much, I think it's good to like think about the future and consider the future and plan for the future, but I think it's bad when we let the future cause us overwhelming fear. I think that's when we should draw the line and try to fix it, you know. And I also want to let's answer the question about you know, fears of oceans. You know, how can you conquer that? You know, I think break it down, you know, maybe
start with your little toe.
Yeah,
your little toe in the water.
Put the foot in the water, you know, get comfortable with that, move your, you know, play with the water, you know, just like a little kid would do, you know.
Well, I remember Alexis was afraid of the ocean. You never were afraid of water. Mark actually jumped on the pool when he was like less than 1. The moment you started walking, you jump on the pool, and then I had to jump at a party with my clothes on and rescue you. So you were never afraid of water. But Alexis was afraid, and I remember I took her to the ocean, and she was like, no, and she started crying. So what I did is we just sat down, not by the water, kind of on the sand. We sat down and we started building a castle. And we just spent a couple of hours there. The next day, I tried to get her a little closer towards the water. And we could not, if her toes touched any part of the wave, she would get up and run and cry. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? So what I did is I went and got a bucket of little, you know, the little small buckets where you make the sandcastles, and I filled it with water and brought it to her and let her touch it. I said, this is just water, like everyday water. And she was little. She was only about 1.5 years, I think. And it was fascinating because she was even afraid to touch the water in the bucket. That's how afraid she was.
I think it's just little by little. You just have to get comfortable little by little. Don't just, I mean, some people can just rip the Band-Aid off, you know. Some people can just forget about it. I'm going to conquer this fear. Going right in, you know, jump in the water, dive in there. You know, some people can do that and they can conquer it like that. But some people, you know, another method is to just little by little get comfortable, little by little, day by day, get more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
se,
and now Alexis swims on the beach, and you guys go water skiing. You guys go do all kinds of fun stuff. But But it had to be little by little, just letting her know
Like,
that it was safe.
I've
and it
almost
was
drowned a couple times in my life. I'll save those stories for another time. But I've almost drowned a few times, but I never let that fear conquer me. Right? I would always get back in the water. Sometimes take it slow. Don't just throw myself in the water again. But just regain your comfortableness, I guess, in the water. Right? So
Yes.
I mean, that's how I would do it. Just little by little, or just build that confidence.
Yes.
And that brings us to our next point that we were talking about in the car, me and Joey, about skills bringing confidence. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so Mark and I were talking about how skills can convert fear into eagerness. You can turn that angst, that sort of anticipation you have for an upcoming event maybe, or something that you have to conquer, something you have to endure, you can turn that into something you want to happen. You can't wait for it. I think to be good at something is to remove the fear. It's to take that fear and to say, I have nothing to fear. This is my time to shine. And I think that kind of is in tangent to this one idea that I had. I think for those fears that you can't progressively conquer, that you have to go all or nothing at once, I think those fears can be conquered, at least in part, with, I think, mental willpower. That's the word I want to use. Mental willpower. I think conquering fears can be a skill. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Because you've been in that situation so many times, it just becomes normal. This is like, maybe at first it's like, oh, this is terrifying. I know that familiar feeling of fear again. But if you've done this so many times, it starts to become just an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It's like habits, right?
Yes, exactly.
You gain that habit of conquering your fear.
Yeah.
If you work out every day, it becomes a habit. It becomes second nature. You can work out any day. It's just another day for me. Every day I would go out there and pretty much just give it my all in running. I would just run every day. But it was just another day of training for me. That's my life right now. For those 4 years in high school, that's what I was doing. I was just running, doing it, conquering that fear, and then eventually it just becomes like another day for you, like you were saying.
And you know what? In education, we do what is called gradual release. We gradually release through different hands-on activities and exposing kids to whatever we're trying to teach them, whether it's reading or math. And you gradually release them to be able to do the problem solving or the reading on their own. So in real life, we should also kind of apply the same concept where we gradually release ourselves into doing what we're supposed to be doing. So baby steps,
It's like,
like when we were saying about the ocean, you start by just maybe sitting next to the ocean, looking at it, admiring it, enjoying the sunset. Then eventually maybe you can build a castle and create something. Then put your little toe in there, Then do some walks. That's what I mean by gradually releasing yourself.
Yeah, and like as you were saying, like for reading and writing, the fear is usually for the test, right? Because that's the big anticipation, right? That's what it comes for. But if you, like Joey was saying, if you build and you pretty much practice all the time and you build that confidence, the fear kind of goes away a little bit because you're more comfortable in that environment. You've been there before. Now you know how to do math. Once that test day comes, the big day, the big test, all that anticipation, the fear, it's like, oh, this is another day for me. I'm a math genius, which Joey is. So, but it just, the fear goes away because you're confident in your abilities, right? I used to be afraid to play basketball with a big group of people because, oh man, what if they push me or what if I get hurt, But as I did it more and more and I played with higher level people, the confidence came in my abilities. I can play, I can maneuver the ball, I can shoot better, It's the confidence comes with experience and with practice, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I relate strongly to that thing you said about like working out. Like only very recently, within probably the last month, did I get over my fear of working out. I was always scared of like, I don't belong at the gym. I'm not the kind of person you would see there. I feel like people would judge me. And I go there maybe the first couple days you go there and you probably feel like that. But then after that, it sort of becomes customary. It becomes something that you just do. You realize people aren't there to like judge you. People are there to take care of themselves, just like you should be.
Yes.
So once you get into that rhythm, that really because people like familiarity. People like to do things that they're used to. So if you get used to something, you can conquer that fear about that thing if you make it a normal thing.
Yes, and I want to applaud you, Joey, because I've known him since he was little. He's been one of Mark's best friends, and they met very young. And I've seen you evolved, and I'm so proud of him for, conquering this fear. And it was so simple, right? And sometimes some young kids or some young girls are very self-conscious, and they're like, oh, I don't want to be seen in the shorts. I don't want people to see my skinny legs. Or, I felt that way at one point. I remember my first time I ever walked into a gym. I was like 17. I had, I was with one of my good friends, and we walked in, and she was all beautiful because she had been working out since she was like 10. I don't know, but she had a great body. And I walked in there, and I had a long T-shirt, baggy, extra large, I think it was, because I didn't want anybody to see my body. And I had leggings also that were so long down to covering almost my toes, because I was so self-conscious. And I remember eventually just gradually started to wear more fitted clothes, and until I got to being comfortable with my body, and it didn't matter. I wasn't there to show it off. I was there for myself to feel better and get
to
healthy.
grow yourself
And grow, yes.
Yeah.
So unfortunately it's almost time to say goodbye. What I do want to say that every day, and I have this in my school, you will never get this day, right? So make it beautiful, make it great, make it productive. So think about that when you have a fear. If you are afraid of going to the ocean, say, and you're there in front of this amazing view, say, am I going to have this opportunity again? I'm here with my family, with my kids. I want to enjoy this beautiful scenery with my kids. Go and at least do the walking by the beach, get your toes wet. If you're afraid of going to work out because you're so self-conscious about your body, let those things go. And it's one day, one opportunity for you to start doing what you might end up loving, or what it might end up helping you stay healthy and fit.
Yeah.
So don't let those days go by and continue to waste your time. Because you're missing out on opportunities because of fear. Almost, I would say, as we mentioned at the beginning of the program, fear is just a thought that you have created in your mind. So let that thought go away, fly away, and erase it out of your memory, and try to don't let it stop you, and continue to shine bright.
Yeah.
Mark, would you like to add something before
Yeah,
we go?
definitely. I think that's a huge motivator for people to conquer their fear, because just realize, we're not going to be here forever. Just live your life to the fullest potential, and if you let the fear conquer you and not allow you to reach that full potential, then you're going to be held back, and then you're going to have regret, and then you're going to be angry at yourself, and that's not a good thing you want. So let that be your motivation. It's today. Let's conquer today.
Yes.
Let's not wait, unless you have to wait. Of course, you have to wait for your race. Unless you have to, then of course. But if you can conquer it now, let's conquer it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Joey?
one more thing I would like to add is let me reiterate and reemphasize that regret is always worse than fear, because you can go back and you can conquer a fear. You can't do that with regret. So keep that in mind.
Because the future, the present is now, and if you're never going to be able to go back, right? So
Absolutely.
do
Yes.
it now.
And so we need to go. It was great having you guys. If you have any questions or any comments, don't be afraid to, or don't fear to comment on our on our website or on Facebook.
Don't be afraid.
Yes, and
Conquer that fear.
conquer your fear, and don't be part of the half of the world who is living fears and letting their fears stop their dreams and goals. So visualize what you really want to conquer in this life. Go do it, go do it, go do it, and go do it now.
So that you can shine. And that's the whole point of this show. So we can inspire you, so we can inspire each other, so we can grow together. That's the whole point of this thing.
You're
Yes.
not alone.
You're not alone. We all have fears. Everybody's going to have a fear, no matter what. But just remember, we have to conquer this. You can't let that fear conquer you, right?
Yes, so continue shining bright, and
thanks, Joey, for coming.
And thank
Of
you, Joey,
course.
for joining us.
Second time
It's
It's an
guest.
honor to
Awesome.
be here.
yes, so
Yeah.
be brave and continue to shine, and don't let any of your fears get in the way. We'll see you next Thursday at 5:30. Thank you for joining, and please share. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Adios, everybody.
programa anterior fue un programa pagado y las opiniones emitidas en el mismo no representan la opinión de CBBA Radio ni de sus patrocinadores.